So there are some quadratic equations that we can just solve by undoing the operations that have been done to x. So let's look at an equation that we can solve by undoing. So here's example 1. Here's our quadratic equation, 2 times x minus 5 squared plus 18 equals 26. We call this a quadratic equation because the x is being squared. We could also call this a degree 2 equation, degree 2 because we have an exponent of 2 on our variable. We can go ahead and solve this quadratic equation just by getting x by itself, and it's pretty easy to get x by itself here because x is just written in one place. So all we have to do is just undo all of these operations that surround the x. If x were written maybe in these parentheses and also written maybe after this 18 or over here with the 26, we'd have to think about how to get the x in one place in order to isolate it, or we'd have to use a different solving strategy. But since x is only written in one place, we can solve this by just undoing the operations that are being done to x. So we can start by getting rid of the plus 18 by subtracting 18 from both sides. And when we do that, we're left with 2 times x minus 5 squared equals, and 26 minus 18 is 8. So we're closer to getting x by itself. The next thing we can do is divide both sides by 2. And when we do that, the 2 that was in front of the parentheses now goes away. So we just have x minus 5 squared equals, we also have to divide the 8 by 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And so next we have to undo the squaring, and the way we undo squaring is by square rooting on both sides. So we can take the square root of both sides. The square rooting will undo the squaring, so we're just left with x minus 5. And then the square root of 4 is 2, but we have to consider a positive 2 or a negative 2 because when we square both of those, positive 2 or negative 2, we would arrive at a positive 4. Let me make this a little bit smaller here. And get rid of that. So now we just have two little equations to solve. We know that x minus 5 could be equal to 2, or x minus 5 could be equal to negative 2. And solving those, we have our two solutions, that x equals 7, or x is equal to positive 3. So if we have the x in just one place in our original quadratic equation that we're supposed to solve, we can work to isolate the x just by undoing all the operations. We will arrive typically at two solutions because of that plus or minus we introduce when we take the square root.